milestone is setting up a checking and a savings account. They are basic financial tools. A checking account is great for paying your bills. A savings account keeps your money safe, and it sets you up for financial success down the road. So before we start talking about how you set up an account, let's first talk about why having a savings and a checking account are very important tools in the budgeting process. Now, you might remember in our last segment, I talked with Josh, and Josh spoke about the importance of having a plan. It's really important because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and no one wants to fail. So how do we set ourselves up for success? Just like in making a budget, saving money requires SMART goals. So what are SMART goals? Let's go through them. They're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-sensitive goals. Let's take specific first. You should make sure your goals are clearly defined. Measurable. They should be goals you can actually measure so you can see the progress you're making. Attainable. Goals should be realistic and achievable over time. Relevant. They should make sense, and they should help you reach your ultimate goal. And time sensitive. You need to establish firm beginning and end dates. This helps you keep on track and helps you achieve success. So here's an idea. Who do you admire? Who do you consider successful? Study them. Study their habits, because I'm pretty sure they've practiced some sort of SMART goal process. So with me now is Adam Crow. Adam works here at Superior. And before we talk about opening a checking and savings account, Adam, does the SMART goal approach really work?
Yeah, SMART goal approach definitely does work. I think one of the issues that some people have is once they've achieved that goal, they don't set another goal to back that first SMART goal up. Just keep working on those goals as you achieve the first one.
Okay, so if I'm interested in setting up an account and I walk into Superior, what are the steps to do that?
So when you come into the credit union, most likely you'll receive a receptionist at the front of our buildings, and that individual will get you into an office with one of us. And what you would need is your driver's license or state identification card, valid of course, it cannot be expired. And we would also need a social security card to verify that you are who you're telling us that you are coming into the credit union today. And then also we need just $5 into the savings account to get that account open and ready for you.
Adam, in our last segment, we talked with Josh at Ohio Means Jobs, and he stressed two things. That one, it's critical to have a budget. And two, that the money coming in is more than the money going out the door. Now, that can be hard for a lot of people, especially when we are in, stressful economic times. So for those folks that are living paycheck to paycheck, and as we talked about earlier, a lot of us are doing that. What are some tips on how we can save money going forward?
Sure. So one of the things that I stress a lot is, for myself, I'm a coffee drinker.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the easiest things is to leave the house and go purchase a coffee. I pass probably 5 to 6 coffee shops on my way to work, including gas stations, of course. And with that, if you're saving $2 per day, 5 days a week, that's already $10 a week that you've saved. And $10 for 52 weeks is $520 each year. Another thing, impulse spending. When you go to the grocery, take a list with you and stick to that list. That's a huge thing, especially for families. If you've got little children, you're walking in through the grocery, they're going to want that Lunchable, or they're going to want that pack of cookies that's not necessarily on the list for that week. And we got to try and cut down on those as much as possible. Another thing is toss that spare change that you acquire throughout the day, toss that into a jar at the end of the day, and then once that jar is filled up, take it into your local branch. We have free coin counters at a lot of our branches. Just take that in, give them your account card, and they will count that change and put it into your account for you. Put it right into the savings. That way it's not something that you were expecting, so put it away, and that way you'll have a nice little nest egg there in the future. Set up a direct deposit and put a portion of that directly into your savings account as well. This will be one of those things where you'll just forget that it's even there at one point, just because you're used to living on that specific amount out of that check each week. If you put it in that savings and you don't think about it, you won't even realize it's there until you need it. Another thing, review your bills and cancel services you don't use.
That's a big one, and there's a lot of areas here that you could address.
Yeah, absolutely. And guilty as charged. There's Spotify, Netflix, any of those type of services. If you're not using them, just get rid of them. Yeah, it's $5, $6, $10 a month, but that savings is going to add up, especially if it's something that's not being beneficial to you if you're not using it at all. So review that as well. And then finally, if you make your goal to save $500, when you can deposit that $500 into a savings account, you can apply for what's called our Share Secured Visa at Superior Credit Union. And what that $500 does is it is being held in your savings account. We use that as collateral against the card, and your spending activity reports to the credit bureau each month. This will help you build your credit or repair credit that possibly has been damaged from the past.
So I'm curious, what's the difference between a shared secure Visa versus just a regular Visa?
So a regular Visa, you're not using any collateral at all. You've shown to the creditor that you're able to make your payments and you're able to spend and not get way out of control. But with a regular checking or with a regular Visa card, you're not going to have that. With the Share Secured Visa, you're using your own money as collateral, and then you're going to prove to the creditors that, yes, I can make these payments. Once you've used that for a little while, then you can look at getting into a regular Visa at that time.
Okay, so we've definitely established that having a savings account is important, very valuable. So now let's talk about establishing a checking account and how that can be useful and beneficial.
Sure. So a checking account is proof of payment or a paper trail. It allows withdrawals via check, debit card, ATMs, and then also you can stop into your financial institution and access your checking account as well. The benefits of having that checking account is safety. Safety is your checks or debit cards are missing or stolen. Your financial institution can help you get your funds back. If you lose all your cash, it's just gone. There's no replacing that. Proof of payment, if you lose a store receipt, your account will show the transaction. Easier budgeting, you can keep track of exactly where you are spending your money.
So Adam, when you open up a checking account, you're given a debit card. Let's talk about the differences between a debit card and a credit card.
Absolutely. So a debit card, even though it reads that it is a Visa, what that's telling you is that you are able to use that debit card wherever Visa is accepted, just like a credit card. With the debit card, though, you're using your money as opposed to a credit card where you're using the bank's money. So the difference is between buying now and paying now would be with a debit card, or buying now and paying later, which would be with your credit card.
So how do we keep our accounts safe?
So one of the biggest things I would say is make sure that you're not giving out your credit or debit card number. Don't give that out to any individuals, whether it's family members, friends. Do not give that out because it's exposed at that point. Also, your PIN number. You don't want to give out your PIN number to anyone as well because then they have access to your ATM if they get a hold of your card as well. Immediately report lost or stolen cards to your financial institution. That's a big one. Unfortunately, there is a lot of fraud that goes on daily. It's probably one of the top two things that I deal with on a daily basis outside of opening new accounts and doing loans. Fraud is probably one of the top two things that we deal with, unfortunately.
Okay. So since your debit card is directly tied to your checking account, is it important to be regularly balancing your checking account?
Absolutely. And that's where you sometimes will find those issues of maybe you have been frauded and you didn't know until you go to balance your card or your checking account, then you will see that. Another tool that also helps with that is your online banking. You have access to your accounts at all times, so you would see those things early and we could get your card shut down and work on getting that money back to you. You will receive a monthly statement either online or in the mail, and you can use it to make sure that your records match what your financial institution shows for you. Here's how. Compare what you have with the statement to make sure every deposit and withdrawal shown on your statement matches your records. Check off all debit card receipts and ATM withdrawal receipts that show on the statement. Check off all deposits on the statement. Record earned interest and account fees from the statement on your check register or notebook. If you write checks, check off the check numbers that have cleared according to your check register. Next, note any checks, debit transactions, or ATM withdrawals that do not show on your statement. Note any deposits that you do not show on your statement. From your statement's ending balance, add the outstanding checks, debits, and deposits. Your record should match what the statement shows, or at least be somewhere close. If not, look for errors. It's easy to transpose numbers or write down an incorrect figure, something that I deal with almost probably a couple times a month especially. And financial institutions make mistakes too. For example, a check may have cleared for $35 instead of $350 or vice versa. Contact your financial institution right away if you find any discrepancies or if you're having trouble balancing. Keep in mind that statements show the previous month's activity, so you could have receipts left over. Just save those for your next month.
Okay, great. This has been great information. So just opening a checking and savings account is a great financial step in achieving financial freedom. So doing that in addition to spending the time and establishing a budget and sticking to it are all really important. Making sure that the money coming in is greater than the money going out is really important, and having these accounts helps you do that. Practicing SMART goals, really important. So review that and think about how that might apply in your own daily life and how those SMART goals will help you achieve, again, financial freedom. And study the habits of successful people. I promise you, if you kind of copy that, you too can be successful.